The professional staff, particularly in physiotherapy, occupational therapy, accountancy, they've all used the portfolio for CPD because it's part of them continue to gain accreditation. What we're now seeing is other staff, for example, in media, are starting to pick up the portfolio. And even though we say they could use it for their own PDP, they're not that interested. They're much more interested in working with their students and getting the students to engage with it. Getting time in the curriculum when staff are working with students, the curriculum is already overloaded. That's quite hard. And the final issue, I suppose, is the technical issue. When students and staff are out with Queen Margaret, it is possible to access PebblePad, and most staff and students don't have problems. But if you're working in a hospital, a lot of our staff are part-time, and will work in a hospital, you've got issues of files. One of the things that has really occurred is that students have said that they've enjoyed using our portfolio system for whatever reason, for PDP, for learning and teaching. And they've said after they have left us, they want to continue to use it. So we're doing on a trial basis, alumni access. Students have to opt in, and they will then use the portfolio system for a year, then they have to opt in again if they want to carry on using it. And the idea is that some of the students have said to me that they want to use it and have used it to prepare for interviews after they've left us. So they will often come back in and say, well, I've got my portfolio, this reminds me of I can do this, and I've got my reflections, I remember when I worked in a group. So it's helping prepare for an interview. Then others have said, well, now I've got my job as a physio or OT or whatever, I can continue to use it to remind myself about my CPD and link my learning in the workplace after graduation with my learning that's happened within the institution. So that's been one of the... Another example is how staff who are studying for their own PhD will often use the e-portfolio, and we've probably got about half a dozen of these who have been introduced to the e-portfolio very much in the learning and teaching mode, but also see it as useful as something for them to record what they're doing each week regarding their PhD to keep them focused. I have some members of staff who use the blog and then the action planner. So they say, well, this is what I've done this week, and then in the action planner, what am I going to do next week? Some of them will also share the blog with their tutor for their PhD studies. And it's very interesting. Some tutors have really got very excited about it, put comments on it, got very engaged themselves with it. Others just don't want to see it. And they say, can you just talk me through it when we have a meeting? And it's also very interesting, the ones who use the PhD staff who use this are so much better when they introduce it to the students. And I had a recent example of this. I had 2 members of staff who used the blog tool for their own PhD studies, and they introduced it to their staff, their students when I was there, and it was super. They could really engage with it, and they could really talk to the students. And I had 2 who never use it, and you could see it was sort of like going through the motions. And I always emphasise to staff that they must use the tool as much as their students, but it's really up to them at the end of the day.